Any question before we start? Yeah, I'll go Hiroko and then Serena.
So this morning we did Brahmari.
This morning we did Brahmari.
Yeah.
And then I think Pranavajapa and Brahmari is very similar. Any difference in effect?
If you want to call it, you are free. Pranav Japa has a different vibration. The Brahmari starts from Vishuddha and Pranav starts from Nivar. That is the difference. Though once you close the mouth, it appears like a dance. But really speaking, Brahmari is totally different. And Brahmari is a pranayam. The pranav is not pranayam. The recitation of whom is not pranayam. Good question.
Good, yeah. I hope you understood that. Brahmari was that and Pranavajapa is the Om. So they sound similar, quite two different things.
Yes.
When you write the prescription for the pranayama and you use the pulse as part of the basis of that, we're on holiday now, so we're obviously much in a better state than we are when we're home and we're stressed.
Are we on holiday, folks? I got up at 5 a.m., vomited, stuck stuff in my nose, went to a fire. It's a good holiday. But anyway, yeah, go ahead.
So from the pulse, you must be able to tell not only things like, is someone constipated or tired today, but also their general body wreckage that they've done over the last months and years. Is that so?
Yeah, you understand?
See, one thing, English is not my mother tongue. And there are so many types of accent. Sometimes I get lost.
Clear Irish accent. She's talking about, the pranayama prescription. So what to practice ongoing that we give, and we use the pulse analysis to determine that, to help determine it anyway. So she's saying, well, look, here we're not at home. Some of us might be on a holiday. And I am. Yeah. And that is it, taking that pulse, can you also take into account a longer term history in overall psychological and physical well-being, as opposed to just now when you're looking at it? So back home, maybe more stressed, right? So factoring that in to a pulse analysis for a prescription.
But now we are not doing questions. That question is Hatha Pradipika. That Hatha Pradipika. That analysis we are not doing now. We keep that form when they need to fill.
Yeah, they will. Yeah. By the way, the pulse form is at the door. You should get one. I was going to talk about it later. Many have been here before, so they know the form.
So as regard, the pulse is concerned, we are observing what is the Vikriti. Prakriti, we come to know through the questionnaire you fill, and when we receive that is the Prakriti. But what is Vikriti and what is causing Vikriti? Can pranayam help it? So then we try to recommend that this will be good for you. That is only the approach.
But she's also asking that is activities, like stress of life at home, impacting Prakruti that could also be seen now while here. That comes in, as opposed to just the feeling today.
So we are not having any discussion regarding that. You must have noticed we only take pulse, not ask any question. But that could be traced if we devote some time, question and answer.
There's a pattern of it, it'll show up. And just in case, Vikruti is, what the disturbance or not now, and Prakriti is like your nature. It takes a little bit of time.
We are born with that. That comes from our parents and we are not supposed to disturb that.
Constitution.
Can you talk about the relationship between having a mind that's free from thoughts and then the maybe initial awakening of the Kundalini? Does the mind need to be completely quiet for any of that to happen?
When Kundalini is anything?
Well, if these practices were working towards our pranayama, the Bhastrika, the Kapalabhati, is it necessary, but we also work on quieting our mind. I guess I'm asking what the relationship is between the quiet mind and then what we're doing with the practices. Does that make sense?
See, if I understand, you want to know what is the difference between the quiet mind and the active mind.
No.
You're advancing in practice, things are going well, and it's closer to maybe a transformation time. Is the quiet mind sort of coming out of that transformation, or should it be almost in a quiet state before something like Kundalini happens?
Could the mind prevent? Yeah.
See, remember one thing and understand very clearly. It is said that whatever you are, with the awakening of Kundalini, you become better in your field. This is from worldly point of view. Now, as regards the spiritual aspect is concerned, you become able to penetrate deep into meditation when you want. Then mind is not there. You become the master of mind. Today mind is capable of interfering, disturbing. It is still there, but it is not able to disturb you. If Kundalini is awakened, that happens. Unless you want to become angry, you will not become angry. So, they say, that is why in Gita they say, Samatvam Yogosthati. It's such a tranquil equilibrium is established that you then become the real person who start coming to know. See, remember one thing, awakening of Kundalini is not the goal. It is just a beginning. It just tells you, yes, you are on the right path. Because the journey is still far. But one thing happens to mind, yes, it has to listen to you. That is the difference. That is why in Om Istavan, the last line, he says, Apne aap apne nahi. You are within yourself, by yourself. But that is only when you are practicing from a spiritual point of view. Otherwise it doesn't disturb. Your worldly life is as it is, it becomes much better. Understanding improves. You can channelize the emotions. The perception becomes clear. You start seeing the reality as it is, not as it appears. So both, so many times people think, suppose Kundalini is awakened, you leave the family or go No, that is not a real concept. In whatever field you are, you become better.
And she's trying to ask, like, just so when you're developing before, Kundalini is not yet awakened, but you're growing and advancing more. How involved still is thought, busy mind, or should it have quietened down by then, or will it be thought, mind still going, but then it happens and then the thought is gone?
Is it a prerequisite?
Nothing is certain.
Nothing.
You cannot say this, because if that happens, quietening the thought, then you should not go further. It is happening. Sometimes there is upheaval, you don't understand. Before Kundalini, such a upheaval is there, you don't know what to do.
Smita, is it? Yeah, Smita and then Nadia. Yeah.
With respect to chakras, is there something defined as balancing of the chakras, or is that a wrong way to talk about it?
चक्र को बैलेंस कर सकते हैं या ये गलत चक्र को बैलेंस कर सकते हैं?
Chakras are already balanced.
So is it about opening them?
Yes. There is no defect in chakras, and there happens no defect ever in chakra. Only question is touching the pranic energy to chakras.
Can the Kundalini awaken in stages, or is it just like a one-time experience?
So awakening Kundalini is one time. There are no stages. Stages start further.
Stages start?
After
Okay.
awakening of Kundalini.
Ewan.
I just wanted to ask about an issue which I think is relevant to a lot of people, and that's to what extent is constipation or lack of a bowel movement in the morning before practice an impediment to spiritual progress? It's very...
Shit gets in the way. Favorite topic, constipation. I want a Kundalini constipation, okay? So, as we often recommend, it is helpful to go for bowel movement in the morning before practice, before pranayama, before kumbhaka, etc. So, his question is, if one is maybe irregular at that, slight constipation or irregular, especially not moving before practice, how much of an impediment is such a constipation to spiritual growth?
100%. There is no concession.
We are renaming our colon hydrotherapy to spiritual progressive pumping. I'm trained in I might show up for a VIP colon hydrotherapy.
I can feel when pulse I see who is constipated. Sometimes I ask also.
It's all apana. Right? But the good news is we can solve constipation, right? Not with laxatives, okay? Right? What advice could you give to help constipation?
My only advice is practice something, take something which can make a regular.
You can figure that one out.
She's advising me, he will be good. In India, 99% people, they start from the childhood, finish everything and then move. We don't postpone, that is one thing. We don't suppress. It is very important thing because you see, after all, the prana is part of the vata. Vata moves because of prana. Now, what happens when constipation is there, the gases which are created, they press upward. Things are not moving, and then if only gas keeps on passing, it becomes dry. You have constipation, and sometimes it becomes that people go once a week. We can't imagine.
So, excuse me, if I understand that correctly, does that mean that constipation causes a derangement of the vata?
She's saying if she understands correctly, constipation will cause vata to be disturbed.
Yes.
Pushes vata high. You had a question, yes?
Yeah. So when we're here practicing under your self-report, it's very easy to be inspired towards the practice itself. You go home in 6 months' time, the winter's drawing, long cold nights and early mornings. Sometimes the practice can become mechanical. So the sincerity and the intention goes a little bit. So what effects would that mechanical practice have on the practice itself? And what can you advise towards that, becoming re-inspired?
I have to understand fine.
Well, now, here we go. Surely this does not happen to you. Yeah, Nick is asking, while here practicing in your company, there's, naturally there's a feeling of inspiration and into practice in a, sincere way. 6 months later, it's cold, dark, grey London. It's raining, you got to get up early, practice, go teach, work, whatever. And, the sincerity, strong inspiration can switch to a mechanical as well. So, how does that affect us and our practice? And what would you advise to re-inspire, especially in those darker moments?
My only advice is, be sincere with the practice, don't allow constipation to set in.
It's a new meaning of London fog. So even if practice is mechanical, or they're feeling mechanical, you're feeling, another day.
You have to resume. But really speaking, that should happen naturally. The constipation is not there.
So he's not really asking about he's very good at going to the toilet. For others, yeah. But now he's asking about practice itself.
I said sincerely, one word is sufficient.
I know, but that's the problem. You can be sincere for a while and then it might become a bit mechanical, a little, it's a challenge, right?
But then that is not sincerity.
I know.
That is seriousness.
No, it's winter in North Europe, let's say, right? Winter in North Europe, a little dark, a little cold, a little wet, a little damp. What I grew up in, yeah. So, if you become mechanical, what would you advise to help bring back sincerity?
The mechanical means what? In what reference?
Mechanical at practice, just getting up and doing it, and not as inspired, not as sincere.
I see no reason why should that not be felt when you are doing.
But let's say he's not feeling it. What would you advise?
He should feel it.
No-win situation.
This is like the Mars Venus.
I get it.
It's like a relationship.
Yeah.
Get in there, feel it. Yeah.
So when, like, relate to that question, I think, when the focus is not there because, I know, after students, over time, it's like you lose a little bit the focus and maybe thoughts coming in and out, but you feel like you need to do it, you don't stop practicing, right? Until you overcome.
No, if need is there to stop, you can stop. Not the desire. Maybe some very urgent thing requires not to practice for a week. Okay. No guilt should be there. No dependence be created. But it should be a genuine need.
She's also saying that you might just be practicing and then over time, you practice but there's distraction, but you still practice.
No, that is not recommended.
Yes, but it might happen.
You should be careful that it should not happen.
Very true. So I think the point here is like, you might get mechanical, you might get distracted, but what does this mean to you? Yeah? If it means something, you're going to come back to it, look at it, connect to it, feel it, touch it, Even in winter.
Suppose, very simple question. You are very sincere practitioner. You are a very sincere practitioner. Suppose something comes as an obstacle that will not allow to focus on the practices, then try to focus on the problem, how to solve it. The answer will come, but sincerity is needed. Because if under the tension you are practicing, that will create something. Try to solve that. If it is physical, then something. If it is something else, then mutual understanding or discussing or suggesting or taking opinion. So, but you should clearly understand, in Sanskrit there is a saying, Kimartham kriyate kriya. Why am I practicing? What is the goal? And then some obstruction may come, no question. Then try to focus on how to solve it. Because with problems, mind somewhere, concentration somewhere, and mechanical doing things, that won't bring the progress. That is certain. That is, Patanjali says, first thing mentally be prepared that journey is not very short. It will take time. Satu dirgha kal. Kal means time. Dirgha means long. Nairantare, with a regularity practicing. Nairantare. Satkar. You should properly understand, read about the practices, why your teacher has read books, etc. Get convinced. Then you will have a attitude, different attitude, not mechanical. Satkar sevito dradabhumi. If that attitude, that pattern, it becomes firm in you. And anything that the part of practice becomes firm in you, gets result. May take time, that is another thing. Be ready for that. Say, I give you my example. I was practicing Vastradhoti when I was in 57 with my teacher.
Swallowing the cloth practice.
I had a record. I could learn it in 6 months. I was not going. But I didn't leave it. My teacher used to bring dhoti dipped in the honey, sometime in the milk, sometime. But after 6 months, within 2.5 minutes, I used solo 24 feet. So that is what they say, Satu Dhirka. Mentally you say, oh, it will take time. But if you look to other people, oh, they are finishing, I am not, then inferiority complex will come. Because yoga is not a competition. Someone has his own ability, own aptitude, own approach. So it happens.
Nadia, then Caroline, and then Matthias. Yeah. And you.
You were saying that solve the problem and then get to pranayama. Isn't it sometimes the problem is created by the mind and pranayama actually helps you to kind of get over the mind to be able to eventually solve the problem? Because sometimes the problem is solved with pranayama versus solving it first and then getting to pranayama. You know what I'm saying? Because if it's caused by the mind itself.
No problem, they say, 3 types, no? As a physical problem arising with some outside reason, problem arising because of the practice of pranayama, or some around social reason. So it depends how to approach. Sometimes pranayama is very helpful in relaxing, taking the real thing up, making perception better of the problem. And sometimes pranayama directly deals with it. So it depends.
How do we make that decision then, to practice or not to practice, given that we're just sitting with a problem?
No, say for example, I give you one example. When any problem arises, you should consult the teacher. Take his advice. Sometimes it happens when we start practicing, thinking that, no, I can do it for more time. Then always remember one thing, pranayama's impact starts after 15 days. We may be thinking that I am, now suppose what I did, I told you, my teacher advised me not to.
Commercial break. Yeah, you're good, thank you.
When we think, no, I have capacity to hold the breath for longer time. He is advising only 1, 1, 2. Now, then, as they have said, hikka, sasasya, kasasya, then some respiratory problem may come for a short time. And so this depends what is the reason for the problem and how to tackle it. But mostly I have seen, if you are in touch with the teacher, solution comes. I don't know if I could answer your question.
No, I was talking about sometimes when we're sitting with just tension, yeah.
When
You're sitting with a problem that you sometimes have is created by the mind, yeah. So like you were saying that solve the problem first and then do pranayama. But sometimes I feel, in my experience, I feel that the problem seems to be there, but when I start to focus on pranayama, it's not there anymore after. You just realize that it was the manifestation of the mind.
Yeah, no, this is, you are correct, but it may not happen with everyone.
Yeah.
Personality differs. A person has a pitta nature. It will take much time.
Or it may just happen with me too.
No, but I'm telling you, Prakriti also plays its own part.
Okay, perfectly.
But chances for these type of problem are very nice. Means pranayama does help, provided with regularity you do. On psychological aspect is very well treated.
But there's no way of knowing that I can address this problem with pranayama, or this problem, should be solved first before I even get to pranayama.
No, you should try, suppose pranayama and nothing is happening. Then answer is there, it is not helping.
So do it and find out.
Yeah.
Well, if you have your regular morning practice, you just get in. But he's also saying there's different types of problems. Some might be created in your head, but some might just be due to procrastination and other things. That's where it's like, just handle it, get it done, and then... Caroline. Just speak up a bit so everyone can hear.
Practical question.
Practical question?
Yes.
Kapalabhati.
About?
Kapalabhati.
Very good.
So Kapalabhati is not good for menstruating or pregnant women. Maybe high blood pressure.
Yeah, don't do it on menstruation and pregnancy.
Yeah. But what other medical conditions should we not advise people to do Kapalabhati?
You can answer this question very easily.
High blood pressure.
Read the book. You want me to answer?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Wasn't meant to happen. High blood pressure for sure. If there's specific heart issues, right, and if there's any gastric ulcer activity.
Louder.
Take this.
No, Mickey louder, is it? I was just saying, you can do it mildly under high blood pressure, okay? But if it's excessive high blood pressure, no, right? Actually, Kapalabhati done wrong could impact hypertension, blood pressure, etc. See? Right? So when people are pumping wrong, which means too high, which means tension in the upper abdomen, which of course is a very strong sympathetic impulse, then in this language, vata goes off. You're in a way you're kind of putting yourself under some form of stress. It could affect blood pressure, hypertension, etc. Then if there's any like if there are some specific issues, like you might say with the stomach, intestines, etc., that it could be, there are different things like colitis, there are different, some might have, it also depends on the degree of the condition. If there's, some people get Crohn's and they're bleeding, etc., okay? There could be a ulcer in the stomach, etc. So then it's again you'd have to assess and either not do it or again very mild. If there's been, like some people have come to me and they said, okay, I had some heart issue perhaps, but it might be a few years ago, okay? But if it's recent, then I wouldn't do Kapalabhati, right?
High cholesterol?
You see, personally, this high cholesterol thing is a very tricky concept, and I would say almost the opposite. Kapalabhati would highly help, and what is a standard put out there in the medical community, high cholesterol, is not really the real picture, yeah? And there's a lot more to it, and you've got to look at, actually the one thing to pay attention to is VLDL, you know, the very low dense lipoprotein. And that and the triglyceride level, see? So, so get your own blood test done and see that, right? But you might have reasonable HDL and LDL. They could be considered high, but they still are balanced and fine. There's a lot of, plenty other studies coming out on that now that the cholesterol as it's described by that is not the issue. But even if it is, even if you're in that kind of high cholesterol typical category, I think Kapalabhati is excellent for it, you know, on the contrary. Would you agree, Jessica? Yeah. So,
And then the other
and
part.
she had another question. I'll go Matthias and there's someone else. Yeah.
And if the Vritti is out of balance, so
If what?
if you're a bit
Vritti.
yeah, is
Yeah.
out of balance, can you still have a spiritual development, or does it need to be balanced for that?
Yeah. So this question, if you know, reading the pulse, the Vikruti, and it shows a imbalance, you know, Vata's off or Vata Pitta, etc. Can one still progress spiritually, or is it an impediment in itself?
No, spirituality is also a very different thing.
But like the question on constipation,